The FEG SMC-380. This is Hungarian-made 380 ACP pistol. They also manufactured the 9mm Makarovs. These were imported by K.B.I. back in the mid-1990s. But actually, these pistol designs date back in the manufacturing in Hungary back to the 1950s. Very reminiscent of the PPK. In fact, it's along the same lines as the PPK. A nice shooting little pistol. Nice bluing. This does have some historical significance to this little pistol. It is the smallest pistol ever imported legally since the passage of the Gun Control Act of 1968. And what the Gun Control Act stated was that the pistol had to be at least 4 inches in height. And this is just under 4.1 inches in height. And then it had to be, thinness-wise, had to be at least 1.3 inches. So it was 1.1, and then if you'll notice here on these grips, there's this little ridge here. This makes it a target grip, but it also allowed for the importation of these pistols to be 1.3 inches wide. You can get replacement, or you could get replacement grips to replace that little target, but really it doesn't take away a lot. If you really want to get it really thin, you could replace it. Now, parts are going to be fairly hard to get. These have not been imported for a number of years. And it is an alloy frame, which makes it lighter than the PPK, but it's also smoother. And if you ever owned a PPK or had a lot of experience with them, they can be a little sharp. This is a really molded type pistol. It feels really nice in the hand. Now, these pistols typically need a little bit of a break-in period. They would run about 200 rounds through it before you'd really get this to function very well. I did have a few issues myself, but just a couple of stovepipes here and there, but really only when I was doing rapid fire drills. So this pistol, of course, you know, it may be the magazine, but these magazines are going to be somewhat difficult to get. K.B.I. purchased Charles Daly back in the late 90s and imported a lot of different pistols from all over the world, shotguns, rifles, and they closed in 2010. But they have a reopening, or have announced a reopening in 2012 as Trans World Arms. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. Okay, as I've said, it is the PPK design, and I'm going to release the magazine, and we're going to go ahead and make sure the gun is empty. It is a single action, double action pistol, and what that means is the pistol in double action, you just pull the trigger and it actuates the hammer. You can pull the hammer back and then have a single action mode, and of course that's better for target practicing and sighting in your pistol. It is a really strong double action pull. I mean, you've really got to pull it tight. On single action mode, still has a little bit, but it's not really any creep or anything. It's just pretty much fires as you pull the trigger. It has a very smooth take up. The reset is really nice. Barely bring it up. It is a 6-shot 380 ACP. It does, of course, come in the 9mm Makarov, which is very comparable to the 380. Again, it has a aluminum frame with a steel slide and barrel and a steel trigger guard. And we're going to look at breaking this down in a few minutes, which has a lot to do with this trigger guard. It weighs 18 ounces. Fixed barrel, it's 3.5 inches in length. The look itself really has that PPK look to it. I really like this small pistol. The accuracy on it is excellent, mainly because of the fixed barrel, which we'll look at when we disassemble the pistol. Most of your fixed barreled pistols are inherently accurate. The sights are pretty low profile. That front little blade is really thin and can be somewhat difficult to pick up. In fact, when I was shooting, I had to really get a good look at it. You will notice that there is ridges here as an anti-reflective ridge, so you can pick up your sights a little easier. But this is a pocket pistol. It's made to fit in your pocket. It's made for concealed carry. Now, one of the safety features is it's a hammer drop safety, so you can bring your hammer down safely without having to release it, but it is on safe here. You can release the safety, and then it'd be very similar to a double action revolver. Double action is pretty safe to carry it this way, especially with this super strong trigger pull. Mag release right here, right below the slide. The magazine is a steel magazine with an aluminum base plate that has a little finger groove. Again, you can see the 6 holes, hold 6 in 1. The grips are a plastic and has some really light checkering, not very aggressive, but it's really comfortable in the hand. The gun points very naturally, and it is very ergonomic. Now it does have a commander style hammer to it, and this will keep from hammer bite, because when you're holding it here and bringing the hammer back, you're going to be less prone to get caught with the tang. The bluing on this gun is really nice. This pistol has a really nice deep blue, and in fact the frame actually matches up pretty decently with it. Even though it doesn't have the bluing because of the aluminum frame, it still has a really nice look to it. Alright, we're going to break down the pistol, and of course I'm going to take our magazine out and then double check that we are unloaded. Now all you do to break this down is to pull down on the trigger guard itself, and then bring your slide back until it lifts up, and then bring it forward. Recoil spring. Then here where we're talking about the fixed barrel, it keeps a very stable platform with the frame, and it typically gives you really decent accuracy. This is an old design that's been around many years, but it's still very effective. Here's a look at the slide, the interior of the slide. And of course, to reassemble, one of the things that I found out is this spring needs to go on with the tighter end over the barrel. It's a loose end here that goes straight over, and then this side has to work its way in, because I had a hard time the first time I broke this down getting the slide back on in the other configuration. You're going to bring it up and then have it come through the slide just like it did there. Come all the way back on the frame where it catches, and then you go ahead and get your trigger guard back in where it needs to be. Now the alloy frame makes this lighter than the PPK. It's usually 2 to 3 ounces lighter, and with that, and then of course its size, it really makes a good concealed carry option. But just make sure that you have this thing reliable before you ever attempt to carry any pistol. Here you can see the FEG right here on the slide, model SMC-380. This is made in Hungary. There are other models that the FEG makes, and the 9mm Makarov is probably the most popular. K.B.I. Incorporated, and that's in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And K.B.I. has been importing a lot of different pistols, not only from Eastern Europe, but also from Israel and other places. So hopefully they can get back on track and start bringing some of these really cool gems back into the U.S. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Only 3 rounds left. The only negative thing about this pistol is that it shoots up ammo too fast.